Good afternoon and welcome to Locked On NBA Daily. On today's show, the trade deadline is over, but which teams are in need of our help? We'll talk about that. Meanwhile, the Rockets are being called out by their own head coach, and the Knicks put their win streak to the ultimate test tonight. All of that and more on today's Locked On NBA Daily.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. However you're tuning in on YouTube or on your podcast app, thanks for making us your first listen every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. I'm Wes Goldberg today. We're talking about the teams that are in most need of our help after the trade deadline. There's trouble brewing in Houston and the end of one of our favorite segments here on Locked On NBA Daily. We'll also be playing a game of Make It, Take It in the second segment. We're doing it with the help of Locked On's local experts. I have two of the best with me, as always, from the Locked On Nuggets podcast, senior NBA writer for the Action Network. It's Matt Moore. Matt?
Didn't know there were so many cowards in the NBA landscape. There's just like a lot of cowards running teams, just like scaredy cats that are just like, I won't do anything and then I can keep my job. Do you want to be great or do you not? Do you want to do something right for the fans or do you not? Do you want to do something great for your organizations and your career? Do you want a legacy or do you just want to hide and make money? That's the question you got to ask yourselves, and everybody failed that test yesterday.
That's what Nico Harrison said he did. From the Locked On Bulls podcast, also a Bears and Bulls creator for Bleacher Report, it's Haize.
I'm at my most petty today. I have nothing left to lose.
They took Io from him, and now
Io from me.
You and me both, Haize. You and me both.
I asked Haize for months. I was like, hey, I heard that they were like, it started months ago. I was like, hey, I heard they're shopping at Io. And he was like, no, you're crazy. No, wrong. I kept asking him. I was like, are you sure they're not trading Io? And he was like, they're not going to trade Io. I'm telling you. Carlos Tevez never makes trades. Not going to happen. Poor guy.
Look where we are now.
8 trades. He made 8 trades in 2 days. 8 of them.
You want him to make trades.
None of them were good. No, how do you? No, none are good. I'm sorry.
Well, let's talk. We're dealing with the fallout here. All of us are, right? There are teams that frustrate us. There are teams that we liked. You guys did a great job of winners and losers on yesterday's show after the trade deadline. But now I think it's a good time to take a look at some of the teams that didn't do enough or maybe did the wrong things at the trade deadline and hold an intervention. So I asked each of you to pick your post-deadline intervention team. Matt, we were talking in the pre-show meeting. I know that you picked the Lakers, so I want to start there. But first, here's the reaction to the deadline from Locked On Lakers.
For Luke Kennard, which we both like. Luke Kennard to the Lakers for a second-round pick and Gabe Vincent. He will help with their shooting. He saves them actually a little bit of money, which could be put towards the buyout market. That could come in handy. All in all, it was a nice little move for Rob Pelinka.
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to add beyond what we talked about with Luke Kennard and obviously the shooting that he brings, which is elite, it is important to remember that he's not just an elite spot-up shooter. He is a movement shooter. But just to emphasize the versatility of his shooting beyond just the skill set. That's all.
So the headline, and I referred to it in the open, the big picture headline for the Lakers really has nothing to do with Luke Kennard and how much he'll help the team this year. He'll help. He doesn't make the Lakers contenders. There was no, as we discussed in that show, there was no move out there for what the Lakers had that was going to make them contend, like true contenders.
Matt, so you hear it from Locked On Lakers there. They're a fan of the Kennard move. They're also openly saying, you know what? It's a nice little thing to bump us up. Doesn't make us contenders, but there was nothing out there to make us contenders. What do you think?
I was trying to think of my response to this while they were talking, and my impulse was, because I'm just filled with rage today in general, was to start like spouting about them basically excusing and spinning this. But I get it, because the big thing with the Kamenetskis is, unlike most Lakers fans, they're reasonable. And they're like, we're not going to be this superpower team every single year. We are a normal NBA franchise. Except you're not. You got handed Luka Doncic. You got handed him. Like the Mavericks said, give us nothing and we'll give us Max Christie and give us nothing else. And we'll give you Luka Doncic. We'll give you a guy who's now a Washington Wizard and a bad first. How about that? And you got handed that. Your process has to change. And they've done this thing where they're kicking the can down the road. They're talking about future flexibility. a big thing is you're getting $52 million of LeBron off the books this summer in a time when free agency doesn't exist. No one hits the market. No one. Nobody hits the market. So what are you going to add? And not cashing in on Rui Hachimura, not cashing in on your first. They did this in part probably because they're hoping for the same thing to happen again, which is they get to this summer and the Milwaukee Bucks are like, here, have Giannis. We'll take your crap and the 3 bad picks you have instead of the 1, and we'll give them to you. Because they're not going to want to trade Austin Reeves. And guess what? The only way you're going to be able to do an Austin Reeves for Giannis deal now is if you do a sign and trade. Maybe that's possible. But does nobody else come in and go over the top of you to mess this up? Because you're going to be restricted in terms of how much money you can send and give back with the Bucks. I feel like the Lakers have a higher obligation to pay off the incredible fortune they were once again handed for no reason. And the fact that their only move was Luke Kennard, I heard a great story from somebody. Hawks were having practice, and they were going through a shoot-around, like a walkthrough. And the ball goes to Kennard, and he's open on the wing, and he hesitates. And Quinn blows the whistle. I don't know if it's true or not. Quinn blows the whistle and asks, who thinks that Luke should shoot? And everyone raises their hand. And I heard that that's happened at multiple spots because he protects his shooting percentage that much. I cannot. I do not. I think the Lakers failed in being as aggressive as they should have been with the kind of talent they have at the top.
Haize, I want to get your intervention team, but before that, do you think that Matt is right to want to hold an intervention right now for the Lakers and how they're handling this?
I'm not as, I understand where he's coming from. I'm not as hard on the Lakers as what he is. I think that they already signaled that they're not really trying to make any big moves until the summer of 26. I think they already kind of signaled that at the beginning of the season. That's when they're going to really make their swing to really kind of continue changing this roster around Luka. And I can't say that that's the wrong decision until it gets through it. And if they don't do anything then. So I think Matt's being a little harsh here. That's who Matt is. He's on point.
It is interesting, though, that this team is talking about defense. We need defense. And then they trade for Luke Kennard. And that's the move. Haize, what's the team that you think needs an intervention?
The Chicago Bulls, and they need an intervention from top to bottom. Here's the thing, and the problem with the Chicago Bulls is that we have an owner in Jerry Reinsdorf who literally only every 10 years remembers that he has a team, checks in on it, and says, oh, we may have to make some changes here. So whoever that he puts in power really has full carte blanche with that team. And unfortunately, Arturas Karnisovas, I don't care what he did in Denver. I'm sure he's a really good guy, but running the Chicago Bulls, he's been nothing short than stupid. I'm sorry. I hate to say that's harsh. He's been dumb. Everything that he's done, everything that he's made a move from, the following moves makes no sense to where he says the direction's going. So we made 8 trades at the trade deadline, have put ourselves right back in the same. Reportedly, whether it's they didn't want to pay Kobe the $30 million, okay, cool. They didn't want to pay Io, who was probably only get about 15 to 18 million. You bring in Jaden Ivey, who's coming back from injury, who while talented and showed talent before he went down with injury, he's right back in the restricted free agency. You did that last year with Josh Giddey. You got lucky, but then at the same time, you don't have even a whole season to evaluate Jaden Ivey before you have to make a decision. You then have brought in Anthony Simons and Colin Sexton. I get it that redundancy is a thing in the NBA, but both those guys on the same roster, when you already have Trey Jones, one of the better backup points in the league, makes no sense. If you were going to do that, then trade Trey Jones, who reportedly had more value around the league. Then on top of all of that, you send off Io DeSumo, who is a player that fits into any system. He's going to do great in Minnesota. I wish the best for him. And you got Rob Dillingham back, a player that for his team that drastically needed a point guard, he couldn't even play 10 minutes for. Is too small. He's a shooting guard. He's a point guard in a shooting guard's body. He's too small, too weak, doesn't have the dribble to get his shot off in the NBA level. He's not a good passer. He averages as many turnovers as assists. Nothing makes sense. And then after all of this, you have a post-trade deadline press conference where you said we're tired of being in the middle and that you are going to start drafting prospects now. It is freaking February. You're now going to start drafting or start scouting prospects in the draft? Nothing this guy does makes any sense. Nothing makes any sense. You are the OKC Thunder of second-round pick. 14 second-round picks? Not a single first? What are we doing here? Malpractice is not even the word here.
Is it harsher to call someone a coward or dumb? Like Haize was like, that was really harsh, Matt. And then just like unloaded a thermonuclear bomb out of his mouth like Godzilla.
What was the term that we started using? Butthole? Was that what it was?
Yeah.
Butthole, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, we need to start a butthole club.
Yeah.
And I think we have our first member.
Yeah.
Bad phrasing?
That's just, I mean, I can get with it. It just caught me off guard a little. Butthole Club is a wild one.
Let's start the Butthole Club here on Locked On NBA. Locked On NBA Daily, first member of the Butthole Club. Carnisovis. There we go. I've got my team for an intervention. We'll do that on the other side of this, and then we're going to play Make It, Take It, including Ime Udoka calling out his team after the Rockets' second straight loss. Trouble potentially brewing here in Houston. We'll talk about it next. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Daily is brought to you by DoorDash. The season's heating up, and DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team just stresses you out. Haize. Let DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now. Those late-night interviews hit, and suddenly you need some chips at midnight. DoorDash is built exactly for that. If the group says pull up, DoorDash makes sure that you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, even a phone charger for that friend who's always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Today's episode is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at our messier parts of our business and think, there has to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades that you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business phone number, so nothing gets missed. Everybody sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal. It works right from your phone or your computer, and you can even keep your existing number. And Quo's smart AI tools automatically log calls, summarize conversations, and highlight next steps so details never slip through the cracks. It's no surprise that Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's Quo, QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Welcome back to Locked On NBA Daily. The best way to support the show, subscribe on YouTube. We are Monday to Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern, wherever you get your podcasts. Before we get to Make It, Take It, my intervention team, and this is not a surprise, guys. It's the Miami Heat. The only team in the Eastern Conference not to make a trade. This is a team headed for the play-in tournament for the 4th year in a row. And I understand that they were holding out hope for Giannis, that they didn't want to go all in for John Morant and meet Memphis's asking price. I get that. But to not have a plan B or be unwilling to take a half-season step back to better your offer for Giannis or Donovan Mitchell this summer, that's the part that I don't understand. To let the Terry Rozier expiring basically just expire and not turn that into anything of value after you could have waived him and saved money earlier this season before his full contract became guaranteed, that's malpractice. That's a misstep. And not having that plan B, not having that alternative when it became clear, according to reports on Wednesday night, that everybody pretty much knew Giannis wasn't getting traded. That's stubbornness. That's not culture. That's not pride. That's hubris. And maybe it works out for them anyway. Maybe they still get Giannis over the summer. But it just feels like the Heat are just waiting and hoping. And they're just... It feels like they're hoping for Nico Harrison to get hired as a general manager to a team that has a star and then do a Luka trade of that star to the Miami Heat. That just seems like what this team is waiting on. They are constantly waiting on getting a star player for next to nothing. And the lack of initiative and the lack of creativity, to me, for a team, again, heading to the play-in tournament for the 4th year in a row, that's what's in need of an intervention here.
I have a lot of empathy for you guys because I think fans get frustrated with these processes, and then you have the split between fans who are like basically waiting for you to be wrong if you voice those frustrations, right? If they pull this off, it's going to be like, you thought they were dumb, showed you. People standing these organizations instead of the players or teams or coaches. And one of my things is just like, have the Heat wasted time? It's been, how long have they been waiting on the star? How long? They were ready to compete with Jimmy in 2022. Mm-hmm. Since then, they've been big game hunting. Mm-hmm. Even 23, when they made the finals, they were big game hunting. They just lucked into that run. So it's just like, it's bad process. Yeah, that's the thing. And when we talk, that word gets overused because of the Sixers. But what it kind of comes down to is just, are you making the best decisions to try and compete? Like, is this the best way to build a team? And just waiting around and hoping that somebody bails you out is not good process. That's not good decision making. Doing nothing is not good decision making. Doing too much that's not good either. It's a fine line. It's a hard business. But yeah, I'm with you. Miami needs to pull the plug. They need to pull the plug. And
they got to do something.
And just be like, I wonder how much of this is just Riley. Like, Pat's still around, even if he's not in the office every day. And I think there's an obligation, at least in the front office, to not betray his desire to compete and to not go down that road. And there's no alternative at this point.
They know that, yeah, to your point, with Riley and the culture that he set, it's out there. They will not take a step back. They won't trade Wiggins or somebody for a draft pick and take that half-season step back in order to better their package for Giannis in the summer. They just don't believe in it. And that's why they're in need of an intervention, because they need to change that. We moved Make It Take It to Friday this week because of the deadline on Thursday. You guys know the rules. 2 takes, 1 winner. Let's start with the Rockets, who lost their second straight game with their loss to the Hornets last night. And after the game, Ime Udoka called out his players for their lack of effort. Here's the quote. "No fight, no aggression, just blank stares. In the past, if we didn't win, we at least got into it and did something about it. But right now, it's the same mistakes over and over. Things we talk about at halftime get worse in the third quarter. It doesn't look like there's any resistance." End quote. Matt, you won Make It Take It last week, so you get the ball first. How concerned should we be about the Rockets?
You should be very concerned, because they had an opportunity to maybe address this at the deadline and they didn't do anything, and they held pat because that's the safe move and that extends everybody's job security. The quote that you pulled, I get why you pulled it. This is the one that you need to pay attention to. Ime was asked about Alperen Sengun getting hunted on defense and pick and rolls in the last 2 games. Quote, "It's been the case since I've been here, so no different there." That's after he got drove on. Now, usually I'll tell you, this has been true since his rookie season. Alperen's great when you actually put him on switches and hedge coverage at the level. He's got quick feet and quick hands. What he doesn't have is like incredible size, shot blocking, athleticism to make multiple turns, rotations, re-jump ability. He struggles in drop. But he was on the edge last night and got absolutely roasted. Guy just went right by him. No effort, no resistance. And KD yells, "Play some defense." Damn. So loud, it's picked up by the mics on the broadcast. This is becoming a thing. Alperen Sengun, this is why I'm not bringing it back to this, but if you wonder why I was so like befuddled that you guys wanted him on the All-Star team, Alperen was supposed to be an MVP level guy this season. He was supposed to look like he's the best player on the Rockets. KD is the best scorer. That combo works. They have no chemistry. And it's becoming more and more apparent that to me, from the outside looking in, there are 2 factions. There's the young guys, and there's Ime Udoka and KD. Those guys have been around. Those guys know how quickly these things fall apart. Those guys want to win now, and that means shortcuts. This is going to come to a head. I do not see any scenario with the injuries where this works out. Like, the Rockets are at risk of real implosion here, Haize.
I mean, I would hope not. If there is really an implosion in place, then Ime Udoka just needs to be fired. They need to get a coach in here who can get everybody on the same page. If that ends up being the case, this is too talented of a roster. Say what you will about the mix and them missing a point guard, but this is too talented of a roster for them not to be focused and locked in on winning. So, not to say that there's not some fire where that smoke is, because I really do think there is. Like, there is something to be said about what's happening in that locker room and in that building. And I'm hoping that it's just frustration of them not being where maybe they thought they would be with preseason and when that team came together. But if it's anything more than that, where to Matt's point, there's a big divide there, then there's starting to be 2 factions. Something has to happen to bring that locker room back together.
Rockets fans, I'm reading Rockets fans like starting to turn on Amen Thompson.
Really?
Yeah.
Of all
not-
people, Min Thompson is not the one to turn on.
Yeah.
For the guy who is the overwhelming favorite to be most improved, he's not even in that conversation right now.
We don't have to do it now because there's time for the Rockets to straighten this out. Right? I always say you're never as bad as you are at the worst point. But like, guys, there's a realistic chance that Phoenix finishes above Houston.
Yep.
And that's going to cause, we're going to have some conversations if that happens.
Heads must roll if that's the case.
Rockets have the 5th worst offense since January 1st. Maybe a bigger problem for the season. They were 16th in transition defense. This is after when Ime got hired. They were at or near the top of the league in transition defense. That is a problematic stat. Points to Matt for going off on the Houston Rockets. Coming up next, the end of one of our favorite segments here on Locked On NBA Plus. Who was the biggest
Points.
winner
Were we doing make it take it?
of the trade deadline? We are doing Make It Take It.
Oh.
I
I'm
announced
lost.
it and everything. I said we were doing Make It Take It. We're going to continue with Make It Take It after this. Today's episode of today's episode of Make It Take It. Today's episode of Locked On NBA is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60, and FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game that everybody's been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count because after the Super Bowl, the season's over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Okay, back to Make It Take It here. Trade deadline winners and losers. I know you guys did that yesterday, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Matt, you won the first round of Make It Take It because Haize didn't know we were playing. If you had to name one winner, biggest winner of the trade deadline is?
The Los Angeles Clippers. They are facing not having their picks from OKC and the Paul George trade. They are facing punishment from the aspiration deal. Their future looked absolutely bleak. They went on this winning streak, and I was like, that's great, neat, but like, where's this going to go? You're playing great basketball now. You're not going to be able to carry it through. What they did was they reset the timeline. They took advantage of this opportunity, which so many teams would not. They'd be like, we can't break it up now. We've won 17-21. So we're going to go to the finals. And instead they were like, nope, getting out from these contracts. Move James Harden, got off of that deal. This allows them now, because you moved him and Zoo, you can be like, well, we could probably got to move on from Kawhi. Get picks back for Kawhi, and guess what? You've reset with picks, Darius Garland and Benedict Mathurin. You have a young core. You've shown your ability to develop young talent. They have sneaky good players that are young. Like, there's opportunity here. The Clippers being able to reset their timeline and get out of what they mortgaged and how bleak it looked at the beginning of the season, they're absolutely the winners of the deadline.
I got to go with the winners of the deadline being the Utah Jazz. Like, for a team that's been in tank mode for years, they made a win now move that while they're still going to try to maintain their top 8 protected pick this year, you now have Jaren Jackson Jr., a perennial defensive player of the year. You still have Laurie there. You still have Ace Bailey there. You still have Keontae there. And then you're probably going to retain Walker Kessler, which, while your perimeter defense is weak, a front line of Jaren Jackson Jr. and Walker Kessler Jr. may be the best rim protecting front court in the entirety of the league. And then on top of that, you're going to have that first round pick as well to add another influx of young talent to the team. We already thought this was the last year of just outright tanking by the Utah Jazz, but not only did they do that, they did an all-in move to prepare themselves to be a more complete team heading into next year. And I think like shout out to the Clippers and what they're able to do. They still don't have great picks. All the picks that they got still aren't amazing. And they still have Kawhi Leonard there. And I think they're going to get a bunch of first or any draft pick really for Kawhi Leonard with things going on right now. No team may not trade for him. The Utah Jazz have the talent. We talked about it all year. The talent is there. They can win more games. They've been doing weird lineup things. They set themselves up to be a playing team as soon as next year.
Points to Haize here. I love the pick. And I agree, man. Like, you get Jaren Jackson Jr. To your point, Haize, it doesn't even cost you all your good picks. You got rid of some picks that, that 2031 first for Phoenix, it could be interesting, but who cares? It's 2031. Like, nobody cares.
Wes, how do you feel about giving Danny Ainge and Austin Ainge credit? How does that make you feel? Does that feel good for you?
You know what? I give credit where it's due. And if you're going to stop this ridiculous tank job, then you get credit for that.
They did not last night, though, by the way.
No, they
did
didn't.
you see what
They
they
are
did
gonna
last
tank the rest
night?
of the season. That's the good point, Matt. It's a good point.
Insane stuff they did last night. Wild stuff they did last night.
It's 1-1. Final question here. Finally, guys, the Jonathan Kuminga saga is over in Golden State after he was traded to the Hawks, which means we never have to talk about Kuminga not playing or his trade value ever again. So, RIP to one of our favorite segments, Jonathan Kuminga.
That's golden.
Yes. Oh, man.
Haize, any last words for the Jonathan Kuminga segments?
Oh man, I have never been so free, so happy to be free of something that should not have been a topic as much as it is. Like, shout out to Jonathan Kuminga for going to a team that has a nice young core. He's going to get an opportunity there. But just the fact that we don't have to talk about it. The next time we talk about Jonathan Kuminga, it could just be, hey, the Atlanta Hawks, they opted out of his contract. He's back out on the market. But it's not going to be this whole there should have never been a Jonathan Kuminga saga. The fact that there literally was, I'm so glad that it's done. It's over with. Thank God.
Some basketball friends of mine have a phrase they use called the prestige zone, and it refers to players in notable franchises that are only relevant because they're on those franchises. And if they were anywhere else, no one would care. Jonathan Kuminga may be an all-time Hall of Fame prestige zone guy. I will say I have genuine hope for him because I was critical of his fit with the Warriors because he's a north-south player, and I back Kerr for not playing him because of the expectations of competing for a championship. Draymond talked about that last night. If you have a chance, go listen to some of the comments from the players about Kuminga. Like, they wanted good things for him. They didn't think it was his fault. Kerr, I think Kerr was literally, like, he's kind of talked about this, about not his fault, but we're trying to win a championship, and you can't let players play through mistakes when you're trying to win a championship. You can't afford that in the NBA. And so now he's got an opportunity to play through those mistakes. And I think it's going to be a good second chapter of his career. He's going to play well, and everyone's going to be like, see, he could have done this on the Warriors, but he couldn't. It's about opportunity. He's got a different opportunity. I wish him well, as long as I don't have to talk about him ever again.
Would it be crazy if he ended up being better than Zachary Rizachet?
No.
No.
Not at all, right?
No.
I like to steal a lot for Atlanta. Points to Haize for keeping it petty there. Congrats to Haize to winning Make It Take It this week. We're running out of time. I did want to just mention Knicks Pistons because this is a big game on a Friday night. The Knicks, winners of 8 straight games. The Pistons, #1 team in the Eastern Conference. Haize, what are you looking for in this game? Do you think that the Pistons can snap the Knicks streak here?
I think they can. The Pistons are still one of the most complete teams in the Eastern Conference. I know that the Knicks are riding that winning streak, but Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren, I think they'll get it done.
Matt?
I think the Knicks are going to run them off the floor. I have a little bit of a concern that the Pistons may have peaked a little early here. I think the Nuggets win, maybe we look back and go, like, that was the peak of their season. Maybe not. Maybe they get it back together and they absolutely dominate. But I always worry when teams peak too high. The Pistons, if you look under the hood, a lot of kind of concerning numbers in there about them being this good. Not them being good, just them being this good. Knicks are playing great basketball right now. Defense is riding high. I don't think that's sustainable either. But if we look at kind of where they're at this particular moment in the season, I do think there's a good opportunity here. I think the Knicks actually wipe the floor with them tonight.
Worth mentioning, Karl-Anthony Towns questionable with an eye injury, but seems like he might be trending towards playing there, but that would obviously be a big thing here. Last show of the week means it's time to end the show the way we do every Friday. It's time for our faves of the week. Haize, why don't you kick us off?
I have no favorite of the week because everything was miserable this week because the Bulls traded Io DeSumo. I have none. Like, the only thing that can make a favorite of this week, can somebody please fire? Do you want him back, Matt? Can we send you Arturas Karnisovas back to Denver? Do you want him back? Because I'm done.
No, I'm good. Good,
Okay,
thanks.
good.
Maybe bring
I'm good.
Calvin Booth back, though, because some of his picks are starting to pan out here.
That's a miss on KGB. Well, kind of. He did give a 3-year guaranteed deal to Hunter Tyson, who you'll notice was traded to the Nets, and you'll notice is no longer on the Nets. Some candidates for me: Doc Rivers' comments on Ice this week. A couple of other things. Unrivaled actually have had a lot of really good games.
Rivals really good.
I've seen lately. A lot of those kind of things. I think probably my favorite thing though was that yesterday it took me like 15 minutes to figure out where Ousmane Dieng was. Like, where is Ousmane Dieng? Like, he got traded like 5 times in the span of an hour. Him and Dalen Terry. Like, I literally was like, where's Dalen Terry? Like, I'm looking at all these moves. I'm like, where did he? And I was like, oh, the Pelicans. Okay, like we found him. But like, I was ready to put out a bulletin to be like, have you seen Dalen Terry? Please call.
The funny thing about the Ousmane Dieng trade is that it was announced that he was a part of the trade to the Bulls before even the first trade that sent him to be available to get traded to the Bulls was even announced. It was like, how is he part of this trade?
So where is he now? In Chicago?
No, he's New Orleans.
Yeah.
New Orleans. What did that?
He was in Chicago. He was in Chicago, and then he was in another place, and now he's in New Orleans. Which actually I kind of like for them. If you're gonna lose GTA,
yeah,
I like taking a shot on Dalen Terry. I've liked watching him. Got some dog in him.
Similarly, my favorite of the week are the travels of Mike Conley from Minnesota to Chicago, from Chicago to Charlotte, from Charlotte to the buyout market, and from the sound of it, sounds like back to Minnesota. So Mike Conley, who probably never had to leave his apartment.
That's what I was asking. Did Tim Conley call him and just be like, "Hey, Mike, you're gonna get some weird texts and calls in the next couple hours. I need you to just turn off your phone and binge watch Peaky Blinders, and then I'll call you on Sunday. Just like hang out. You don't have to come to the arena. Just hang."
I would love for the next time that the Timberwolves, after he re-signs with Minnesota, right? The next time that the Timberwolves play the Bulls or the Hornets, if one of those teams could just put a tribute video together for Mike Conley, I think that would be great. Hand him a jersey.
I want the Wolves to do one. The Wolves should do a welcome back video.
They should really do a farewell and a welcome back video.
Yes.
All at once.
That's farewell for us. We'll welcome you back next week. If you like what you heard today, subscribe to Locked On NBA Daily wherever you get your podcasts, including on YouTube. Thank you to Matt and Haize for their expertise every day. Thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network your first listen. We'll see you here next week on Locked On NBA Daily.